Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you're standing at a cosmic train station, where each platform represents a different reality of your life. Some platforms show versions of you living in abundance, others with extraordinary relationships, others still with perfect health and clear purpose. You can see these realities as clearly as you see your current life. They're not distant fantasies, but real possibilities, pulsing with their own life. Now open your eyes and feel the truth that's about to reveal itself. You're not imagining these realities. They exist at this exact moment as quantum potentials waiting for your conscious choice. There's a secret that quantum physics discovered over a century ago, but which has been kept from popular understanding because its power is absolutely transformative. This secret reveals that you're not trapped in a single reality line, living a linear life where the past determines the present, and the present limits the future. Perhaps you feel stuck always on the same platform, watching trains to better realities pass by without ever being able to board. Maybe you've tried to change platforms several times, but always end up returning to the same place, as if there were a magnetic force pulling you back to the known reality, even when it's not the one you want to live. You're not alone in this experience. Millions of people feel this same frustration, the sensation of watching their own life from the outside, seeing possibilities move around them without being able to access them. It's like being in an aquarium, seeing the infinite ocean outside, but not knowing how to break the glass that separates them from a broader and more meaningful existence. What Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden discovered through decades of research will completely transform your understanding of change. You already execute quantum leaps constantly, but you've been doing it unconsciously, leaping to realities you don't desire. Today you'll learn to become the conscious navigator of your own experience. The truth is, you were never a victim of circumstances. You've always been the quantum operator of your reality, making choices every moment that determine which version of your life manifests. The problem is, these choices have been unconscious, automatic, based on old patterns that keep you orbiting always at the same frequency of experience. But this is about to change. Today you'll discover how the real mechanism of quantum leaps works, not as an abstract esoteric concept, but as practical technology you can apply immediately to consciously navigate between the infinite realities available to you. You'll understand why some people seem to live in a completely different universe from yours, where opportunities appear naturally, where relationships flow with harmony, where abundance is a natural state. They weren't chosen by destiny. They learned to consciously choose which reality to inhabit. Prepare to discover that your current life is just one of infinite possibilities you can experience, and that the power to leap to any of them is in your hands at this exact moment. There's a truth about you that will shock your perception of control and personal power. A truth that reveals why your life seems like an emotional roller coaster, where you go up and down without understanding exactly what's controlling these movements. You've been conditioned to believe that quantum leap is an esoteric concept impossible to apply in real life, that it's something mystical, abstract, reserved for physicists in laboratories or for special people who possess supernatural abilities. That your reality is fixed, solid, immutable, and that real changes take time, effort, and favorable circumstances. This belief keeps you unconscious of the power you're already exercising every moment. The revolutionary truth is this: you already execute quantum leaps constantly. Every emotional state change is a leap to a different parallel reality. The problem is, you do this unconsciously, leaping to unwanted realities. Think about the last moment you woke up in a good mood, feeling optimistic and full of energy. In that moment, you leaped to a reality where opportunities seemed more accessible, where people responded more positively, where solutions appeared more easily. You didn't imagine this. You literally inhabited a different version of reality. Now think about a moment when something deeply irritated you, and you plunged into anger or frustration. Instantly, you leaped to a reality where everything seemed to conspire against you, where problems multiplied, where people seemed more difficult to deal with. Again, this wasn't distorted perception. It was a quantum leap to a different frequency of reality. Joe Dispenza spent decades documenting this phenomenon. When you change your energy, you change your life. And when you change your life, you change the world. Every energetic change you experience is literally a leap to a different timeline, a parallel reality where the available possibilities are completely different. What you call mood or emotional state is actually your current vibrational frequency, which determines which quantum reality you're inhabiting at that moment. When your frequency changes, you automatically leap to the reality corresponding to that new vibration. But here's the problem. You've been making these leaps completely unconsciously, reactively, based on external stimuli and automatic emotional patterns. It's like driving a powerful car with your eyes blindfolded. You have the vehicle, you have the fuel, but you have no control over the destination. The person who wakes up anxious about work immediately leaps to a reality where work is a source of stress and problems. The person who looks in the mirror and thinks I'm aging leaps to a reality where age is limitation and decline. The person who checks bills and feels scarcity leaps to a reality where abundance is scarce and difficult. You don't need to learn to leap. You're already a master quantum leaper. What you need is to learn where to leap. You need to become the conscious operator capable of directing your quantum leaps to superior realities through deliberate frequency change. When you recognize that you already possess this quantum technology and have been using it unconsciously, something changes immediately. The sensation of powerlessness dissolves. The belief that change is difficult disappears, and you realize you don't need to wait for external circumstances to experience a different reality. You can leap to it now through conscious choice of your internal frequency. There's a discovery in quantum physics that will completely revolutionize your understanding of why your life seems stuck in certain patterns, regardless of how much you try to change it consciously. A discovery that reveals why some people seem to live in a universe of abundance, while others inhabit a world of scarcity, even having the same external opportunities. You've been conditioned to believe you're trapped in your current reality and can't change it. That external circumstances determine your experience, that you need to wait for the world to change to then experience something different, that your reality is fixed, solid, immutable, and that you must accept the limitations that seem to define your existence. This belief keeps you orbiting always at the same frequency of experience. The revolutionary truth is this: like the electron that orbits in specific layers around the atomic nucleus, you inhabit the reality corresponding to your current vibrational frequency. Changing frequency forces automatic leap to a new orbit of experience. In the atom, each electron orbits in a specific energetic layer. It cannot exist between layers. It's either in one orbit or another. The orbit it finds itself in is determined exclusively by its energetic level. When the electron receives enough energy, it automatically leaps to a superior orbit. When it loses energy, it returns to an inferior orbit. Your life works exactly the same way. You don't inhabit one reality. You inhabit the reality corresponding to your current vibrational frequency. There's a reality where you're abundant, one where you're scarce, one where you're healthy, one where you're sick, one where you're loved, one where you feel alone. All these realities exist simultaneously, like different orbits around the same nucleus of your consciousness. The reality you experience isn't determined by external factors. It's determined by your internal frequency, the combined vibration of your dominant thoughts, habitual emotions, and subconscious beliefs. When you vibrate at the frequency of gratitude, you automatically orbit in the reality where there's much to be grateful for. When you vibrate at the frequency of scarcity, you orbit in the reality where something important is always missing. When you vibrate at the frequency of self-love, you orbit in the reality where you're valued and respected. This isn't positive thinking or visualization. It's quantum mechanics applied to human experience. The person who wakes up every day thinking, "Another difficult day," is calibrating their frequency to orbit in the reality where days are really difficult. The person who looks in the mirror and thinks, "I'm aging," is tuning the frequency that keeps them orbiting in the reality where age is decline and limitation. But here's the revelation that changes everything. You can identify your current frequency and consciously calibrate it to the frequency of the desired reality. The moment you change your internal vibration, you force an automatic leap to the corresponding orbit. Your reality isn't prison. It's reflection of your current energetic orbit. And you have the power to change orbits at any moment through conscious calibration of your vibrational frequency. There's a phenomenon that happens during every true quantum leap that most people interpret as evidence that it's not working. A phenomenon that causes millions of people to give up on transformation, exactly at the moment when it's about to manifest. You've been conditioned to believe that if you don't see immediate results, it's because it's not working. That real change must be visible, measurable, confirmed by external evidence from the first moment. That if you don't perceive concrete signs of progress, you must be doing something wrong, or the process isn't effective. This expectation of immediate confirmation is what sabotages most quantum leaps. The revolutionary truth is this: during the quantum leap, there's a moment of invisibility where you're not in any specific reality. It's the space between worlds that most interpret as "it didn't work." In quantum physics, when an electron leaps from one orbit to another, there's an infinitesimal moment where it's nowhere. It completely disappears from the previous orbit before appearing in the new orbit. During this transition moment, the electron exists in what physicists call a superposition state. An empty space between defined realities. Your personal transformation works exactly the same way. When you initiate a true quantum leap, you stop inhabiting the old reality before completely stabilizing in the new reality. During this transition period, you exist in the quantum void, a space where the old reality no longer applies, but the new hasn't completely solidified yet. It's at this moment that most people panic. They feel they've lost control, that nothing makes sense, that maybe they made a mistake trying to change. Old patterns no longer work, but new ones haven't become automatic yet. It's like being suspended in air between two buildings, with no solid ground under your feet. This void isn't evidence of failure, it's evidence that the leap is happening. During this phase, you may feel confusion about your identity, uncertainty about your decisions, a strange sensation of not completely recognizing yourself. People close to you may comment that you're different in a way they can't define. Old opportunities may disappear before new ones manifest. The void isn't absence, it's the portal between realities. The key to navigating this phase is understanding that absence of external evidence doesn't mean absence of progress. When you're in the empty space, you're literally between dimensions of experience. Reality is reorganizing around you, but this process happens first in the invisible quantum field, before manifesting in the physical world. Many people feeling this void are trying to run back to the old reality because it was at least familiar. But once you've initiated a true quantum leap, trying to return to the previous state is like trying to force an electron back to the orbit it already abandoned. It's energetically impossible. The only direction is forward through the void until the new reality completely stabilizes. And when this happens, you realize the invisibility period wasn't lost time. It was the time necessary for your entire experience structure to reorganize, to accommodate the new version of you. Learning to navigate the quantum void with confidence. Maintaining the new frequency even when there's no external evidence is what separates those who complete their leaps from those who get stuck between realities, oscillating indefinitely between old and new. There's a secret about transformation that separates those who make superficial and temporary changes from those who experience true and permanent quantum leaps. A secret that reveals why some people can transform their lives overnight, while others spend years trying to change without ever leaving the same place. You've been conditioned to believe you need a lot of effort and time to change your reality. That transformation is a gradual process, requiring patience, persistence, and hard work over months or years. That real changes are always slow, difficult, and require constant sacrifices to sustain themselves. This belief keeps you trying to push changes instead of catapulting them. The revolutionary truth is this: quantum leap requires a specific amount of activation energy. A sudden and intense internal state change that forces instant transition to a new reality. In chemistry, activation energy is the minimum amount of energy necessary for a chemical reaction to happen. You can gradually heat a substance for hours without anything happening, but the moment you reach the critical energy point, transformation is instantaneous and irreversible. Your personal transformation works exactly the same way. You can try to change gradually for years, adjusting thoughts, working emotions, modifying behaviors. But if you never reach the necessary activation energy, you'll remain orbiting in the same reality, just with small superficial variations. Activation energy for a quantum leap isn't physical effort or chronological time. It's concentrated emotional intensity, combined with radical decision and total commitment to the new reality. Think of people you know who made dramatic transformations in their lives. They didn't change gradually. They reached a critical energy point where they simply couldn't continue being who they were. It might have been a moment of extreme pain that forced them to choose a new direction, or a moment of absolute clarity where they saw exactly who they could become. This activation energy can be accumulated through radical decisions. When you make a decision that goes completely against your historical patterns, you generate intense energetic charge. When you commit totally to a new version of yourself, regardless of external circumstances, you create the internal pressure necessary to force the leap. Most people try to change little by little to avoid discomfort, but this is like trying to boil water by increasing temperature 1 degree per day. You never reach the boiling point. You need to concentrate enough energy to reach the critical point where change becomes inevitable. Your leap doesn't need time, it needs intensity. The moment you accumulate enough emotional energy through radical decision and total commitment, you force instant transition to a new orbit of reality. Activation energy isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you choose to generate through the radicality of your decisions and the totality of your commitment to the new version of yourself. Did you feel this activation energy accumulating within you? This new understanding about how to consciously direct your quantum leaps? Then, before we advance to the next navigation codes between realities, leave in the comments what is the superior reality you're preparing to leap to now. Your declaration is the first step of your conscious journey between worlds. There's a deep fear that paralyzes most people at the exact moment they're about to make the most important quantum leap of their lives. A fear that keeps them orbiting eternally in the same limited reality, even when they know a superior version of themselves is within reach of their hands. You're afraid of changing because you might regret it and want to go back. Afraid that the new reality won't be what you expected, that you might lose something important from your current state, that maybe it's better to remain in the known, even if it's not satisfactory. This fear of what if I want to go back is what keeps millions of people trapped in lives that don't reflect their true potential. This fear is based on a completely incorrect understanding of how quantum leaps really work. The revolutionary truth is this: a true quantum leap is irreversible. Like the electron that changes orbit, You cannot return to the previous energetic state once the transition completes. In quantum physics, when an electron absorbs enough energy to leap to a superior orbit, it cannot simply decide to return to the previous orbit. Return only happens if it loses energy, but this isn't a conscious choice. It's a consequence of changes in the system's energetic conditions. Your personal transformation works exactly the same way. When you make a true quantum leap to a superior reality, you cannot simply decide to return to what you were before. This would be energetically impossible, like trying to make boiling water return to ice without removing heat. You would have to consciously lose all the energy, knowledge, and expansion you gained during the leap. But here's what most people don't understand. You won't want to go back. Once you experience the superior reality, the previous state becomes literally unbearable. It's like trying to convince someone who learned to fly to go back to crawling on the ground. The person who leaps to a reality of abundance can no longer vibrate at the frequency of scarcity. The person who leaps to a reality of self-love can no longer inhabit the frequency of self-deprecation. The person who leaps to a reality of clear purpose can no longer exist in confusion and lack of direction. What you fear losing by making the leap is exactly what's preventing you from living your true magnitude. Your current limitations aren't precious characteristics you should preserve. They're low frequencies that keep you orbiting in realities inferior to your potential. Embracing irreversibility as security, not risk, is what frees you to commit totally to the new reality. When you understand there's no going back, you stop wasting mental energy planning escape routes and direct all your force towards stabilization at the new level. Your new level isn't temporary, it's your new permanent base, and the only possible direction from any true quantum leap is up, to even more elevated realities, never down to states you've already transcended. Irreversibility isn't a limitation. It's the guarantee that your evolution is real, permanent, and progressive. There's an extraordinary phenomenon that happens at the exact moment you complete a true quantum leap, but which most people don't notice because they are focused only on internal changes. A phenomenon that explains why some people seem to have inexplicable luck, where opportunities appear magically, where the right people emerge at the right time, where the universe seems to conspire in their favor. You've been conditioned to believe that internal change doesn't affect the external world, that you can transform internally as much as you want, but circumstances, people, and opportunities around you remain the same, that there's a clear separation between your inner world and external reality, and that changes in one don't necessarily influence the other. This belief keeps you disconnected from your true radiating power. The revolutionary truth is this: each quantum leap emits photons of new information that automatically reorganize people, circumstances, and opportunities around you. Your internal transformation isn't a private event. It's a cosmic signal that resonates through the entire quantum field. In quantum physics, when an electron leaps from a superior orbit to an inferior one, it emits a photon, a light particle that carries specific information about the energetic transition that just happened. This photon doesn't stay contained in the atom. It propagates through space, influencing other quantum systems it encounters along the way. Your consciousness works exactly the same way. When you make a quantum leap to a superior reality, you don't just change internally. You emit a new frequency of information that propagates through the quantum field, automatically reorganizing everything around you to reflect your new vibration. This emission isn't metaphorical, it's literal. Your new vibrational frequency creates information waves that influence the people you interact with, the situations you encounter, the opportunities that present themselves. The quantum field reads your new energetic signature and reorganizes external reality to correspond to it. Think of people you know who went through profound transformations. It wasn't just their personality that changed. It was as if the entire universe around them had reorganized. New people entered their lives. New opportunities arose. Old situations dissolved naturally. This wasn't coincidence. It was the direct result of the new frequency they began radiating after their quantum leaps. When you trust that internal change will automatically radiate signals that attract corresponding external reality, you stop trying to control external factors and focus all your energy on what really matters, maintaining the new frequency consistently. Your internal leap is a beacon that reorganizes all external reality. And the more stable you become in the new frequency, the more powerful becomes your ability to radiate signals that transform the world around you. There's a truth about your existence that will completely explode your perception of limitations, possibilities, and free will. A truth that reveals why you sometimes feel like you're living several different lives at the same time. Why certain decisions seem to open portals to completely new realities. You've been conditioned to believe you have only one life and one possible reality. That there's a unique timeline where you were born, grew up, made certain choices, and now must live with the consequences of those decisions. That your current reality is the only one that exists, and that other possibilities are just fantasies or impossible dreams. This belief drastically limits your perception of what's possible for you. The revolutionary truth is this: you exist simultaneously in multiple parallel realities. What you call your life is just the reality you're consciously observing at this moment. In quantum mechanics, the superposition principle reveals that a particle can exist in multiple states simultaneously until it's observed. Before observation, it's not in a specific state. It's in all possible states at the same time, like overlapping probability waves. Your consciousness works exactly the same way. At this exact moment, there's a version of you that made completely different decisions, that developed different abilities, that lives different relationships, that experiences a different financial reality. These versions aren't future possibilities. They exist now simultaneously in parallel dimensions of your experience. The version of you that is completely confident exists now. The version living in abundance exists now. The version that has extraordinary relationships exists now. The version that possesses perfect health exists now. All these realities are happening simultaneously, like different radio stations transmitting at the same time. What determines which reality you experience isn't destiny or external circumstances. It's your conscious observation, where you direct your attention and which frequency you choose to tune into. When you practice conscious observation to collapse the desired reality among multiple existing possibilities, you're not creating something new. You're choosing which of your simultaneous lives to consciously experience. This explains why certain changes seem natural for some people. They're not forcing a transformation. They're simply changing their conscious observation to a version of themselves that already exists in superposition. You don't have one life. You have infinite simultaneous lives waiting for your observation. And every moment, through the direction of your conscious attention, you're choosing which of these realities to collapse into tangible experience. The freedom this represents is absolute. You're not limited by your history, your current circumstances, or your past decisions. You're limited only by your capacity to consciously observe the other versions of you that already exist, waiting to be experienced. There's one last secret about quantum leaps that determines whether your transformation will be permanent or whether you'll oscillate indefinitely between the new reality and old patterns. A secret that explains why some people can maintain their changes for life, while others always return to normal after periods of transformation. You've probably lived the frustration of being able to change temporarily, but always returning to what you were before. Moments where you felt completely different, where your new identity seemed solid and real. But after a few days or weeks, old patterns returned as if nothing had happened. This oscillation isn't evidence of personal failure. It's evidence that you haven't learned quantum anchoring. The final truth is this: stabilization of the new reality requires quantum anchoring, consistent repetition of the new frequency until it becomes your automatic natural state. In quantum physics, when a system reaches a new energetic state, it needs time to completely stabilize in that state. During this period, there can be fluctuations between the old and new state until the system finds its new permanent equilibrium point. Your personal transformation works exactly the same way. After a quantum leap, you enter a stabilization period where your new frequency needs to be anchored through consistent repetition. Each time you consciously choose to vibrate at the new frequency, you strengthen the anchoring. Each time you allow old patterns to return, you weaken stabilization. Anchoring doesn't happen through effort or rigid discipline. It happens through conscious and consistent choice to inhabit the new frequency, especially in moments of pressure or challenge, when old patterns try to resurface. When you practice the new frequency daily until it completely replaces old patterns at the subconscious level, something extraordinary happens. The new reality stops being something you maintain and becomes something you simply are. Your new reality isn't a visitor, it's a permanent resident. And the more you anchor this new frequency through conscious repetition, the more impossible it becomes to return to previous states, because they simply no longer form part of your natural energetic signature. Quantum anchoring is what transforms a temporary leap into permanent evolution. ensuring your new reality becomes the solid foundation for all future leaps. We've reached the most important moment of this entire revelation, the moment where you need to make a choice that will determine whether everything you discovered today becomes a real transformation in your life, or just another piece of interesting information you'll keep in mind without ever truly applying. Maybe you're thinking, I don't master this enough yet to make real leaps. I need more time to understand, to practice, to be sure I'm doing it the right way. This is the last illusion that needs to be dissolved. The final truth that will completely free you is this: you already possess all the necessary quantum technology to leap. What's missing is only conscious and directed application. Every moment is a leap opportunity, as Greg Braden revealed through decades of research. We are quantum beings living in a quantum world. The question isn't whether we can leap between realities, but which reality we choose to leap to. You don't need more knowledge. You don't need more preparation. You don't need to master complex theories or elaborate techniques. You just need to recognize that you're already the conscious navigator of realities, that you always were, and that each breath is an opportunity to choose which version of your life to experience. At this exact moment, while you hear these words, you're making quantum choices. You're deciding whether to collapse into the version of yourself that believes they're capable of conscious leaps, or into the version that still sees themselves as limited by circumstances. Assuming the role of conscious navigator of realities means stopping waiting for life to change so you can then change, and starting to change so life automatically reorganizes around your new frequency. It means making directed and intentional leaps to superior levels of existence, knowing that each leap takes you to a more elevated base from where new leaps become possible. Your life no longer needs to be a random experience where you react to what happens. It can become a conscious journey between increasingly elevated realities, where you're the active creator of your own experience. You're not learning to leap. You're remembering how you were always the navigator of your reality. And now that you remember, each moment becomes an opportunity to consciously choose where to leap. If this video activated the conscious navigator within you, if you felt your ability to leap between realities expanding, then subscribe to the channel to continue receiving these quantum navigation codes that are transforming lives around the world. Share this video with someone who needs to discover their power to leap to superior realities. And leave in the comments, which reality are you preparing to leap to now? Your declaration could be the quantum trigger someone was waiting for to make their own leap.